from Australia, broadcasting around the world. You're listening to The Mitch Moroney Show. Here's your host, Mitch Moroney.
How long have you been general manager then?
7 years this December, so 6.5.
Oh, yeah. So in that time, because it would have been the National Institute of Accountants, wasn't it, at the start?
No, I was always IPA.
Oh,
National Institute of Accountants happened in 2011, so we changed our names then.
Gotcha. So for those listening, the Institute of Public Accountants used to be the National Institute of Accountants, and then it got rebadged in 2011. So I actually realised that's, 9 years ago now.
Yeah, 10-year anniversary next year.
Wow. Doesn't feel like it was that long ago. Over that time, how have you found the expansion and the growth?
Yeah, so I came in at an interesting time. So even as the membership services person, one of the first things I kind of made Darren agree to was that we do a congress. He was unsure that, that people would be wanting to spend the money and things like that. But we started the WA Congress for the first time in 2014, which Darren and I started. Darren had left by then, and the day that it happened was the day I was giving birth. So we weren't much use.
That was timing was impeccable.
Oh, absolutely. We started doing the congresses and the larger events, which have grown and developed and improved significantly to something now that I think is a highlight of a lot of people's years education-wise. 2015, we started to really suffer from the mining boom downturn here in Perth. So we went from basically we could put on anything in the middle of the mining boom and got heaps of people through, but that really changed. So we had to really look at what events we were holding, how we were holding them, and sort of change the way that we did things. So there was a lot more research into the types of topics we were doing and really trying to find out exactly what the members wanted to come to, what they were willing to pay money to come to as well, so that we could hold them. So that meant a lot more masterclasses. So it was a mixture of different topics so that then we could throw in some topics that they may be very interested in or that they needed to know, but wouldn't necessarily come along to if it was just held on its own. So started changing the way we did things there. We also had to move office. Our lease came to an end. Yeah. So we had this lovely little tiny office in South Perth that I was very keen to move out of. So, and at this time, because of the mining downturn, commercial real estate was incredibly cheap. So a lot of the mining companies had consolidated, lost workforces. A lot of the exploration mining companies and the junior mining companies had folded. So there was commercial real estate everywhere, as well as a lot of buildings had finished all at the same time. So we took that opportunity to move into the city, the outskirts of the city, so that we could be more central, but also have a larger space and a sort of a more engaging working environment for the staff, but also somewhere for members to be able to come and feel like they're comfortable, have a chat with us or what have you.
Beautiful. And yeah, the new location is great. You got the little conference room there and kitchenette section. And it's really good, even popping up for a coffee or whatever. So
we love it when you come in with coffee.
Never seen you all light up so much. And it's not because
of course it is, Mitch. Of course it is. Some of the other things we started doing was taking events, and this was just before we moved. I started to want to take events out to the regions. So you started did a tax event in Kalgoorlie, lost a lot of money doing that. But it ended up being one of those things where, again, it's that short-term pain for the long-term gain. So the people in Kalgoorlie and the people in the regions in Western Australia loved the fact that we were going out there. So we didn't cover costs the first time around, but then we got memberships from it. Next time we went, more people came and more memberships. And so, and they really do appreciate us actually heading out there and chatting to them and being there for them and providing that training. So
yeah, because I could imagine, because I would assume, even though, let's go with semi-regional. I'm an hour south. It's not like a normal thing. They would get lots of training and stuff in Perth, and when you're 7 hours out of Perth, So as a institute going out and supporting those regional members, that would be a massive benefit.
We took that then to the tax agent guide, which we then made the roadshow. So taking that out to regional. So we now take that to Geraldton, Kalgoorlie, Bunbury, Bustleton type area, Albany, and this year wanted to do it in both Joondalup, Mandurah and Perth, just to do that spread across the Perth region. Unfortunately, we're not doing any of those this year, and we'll be doing it online instead. But, that was the concept.
Yeah. One day Mandurah will have one. One day.
Yes.
And then my favourite one, the barley stuff.
I've been in head office and someone had made our CEO is a bit of a barley lover, as are a couple of staff, and they sort of went, oh, you should do an event up in Bali. And so I was like, okay.
Yep, that works.
Our New South Wales team had done a tax retreat over in Noumea. So we started to develop that idea and do it in Bali. 2017 was the first time we did it. Learned a lot about doing international events with that one. That was very challenging and one of the most interesting things we've done. So we organised this event, went over and looked at venues and what have you, and we'd organised assistance from a company that sort of talks to venues and does the negotiation for you. And they'd recommended this particular venue and we went and saw it and it was still being built. But, it was supposed to have been done in January. It's just a week or two away. It'll be fine. So that was great, except for we had the event in September. It was July, August, still no venue. It wasn't opening, we just need to get the fire testing done. So then we had to quickly change venues at the drop of a hat, which thankfully, because they were part of a global chain, we were able to then move to the Westin, which was a beautiful resort and not something we could have afforded without being charged the prices of the other hotel. So we were there in Nusa Dua, and so we changed venues. Around about this time was when Mount Agung started erupting and we had a volcano eruption. And this was 6 weeks out from the event. So I learned more about geology and volcanoes than what I ever wanted to learn at all, ever.
But the event was amazing.
It was.
Participants, and it was incredible. The Westin was beautiful and learnt so much, and it was a great time.
So we had 29 people that first year. So we did a tax retreat with Peter Adams from Augmenta. And so it was a full day of education. We did a welcome drinks on the beach for people, a full day of education the next day. Then we had a gala dinner in the garden with Balinese dancing and fire dancing and all the rest of it. A full day of training the next day, and then sort of a farewell drinks and then a tour the day after. So
I must admit,
it was really fabulous.
Difficult when I'm very hungover. The Brockers were getting smashed those days. It was amazing. I loved it. Yeah, obviously as a consequence of that, I've been the next 2 years, was planning on this year, but being pushed off. But,
we've postponed it till 2021 now, but we'll make sure there's a reunion event that makes it worth the wait.
Yes, 100%. How are the numbers over the years, I suppose, once the first one got done?
So the first one, again, was one of those events where we broke even, but not much else. And considering that we were charged prices that hotel would never normally charge. So we had 29 people. The next year we went to the Trans Resort in Seminyak and we had 50 people, I think, 55.
Damn, that's a good increase. It's almost done.
And then last year we were at the Sofitel in Nusa Dua and it was about 65.
Yeah, I like those numbers because it's still, obviously it's big enough, it's economical, etc., but it's also still intimate. I do like that about the Bali sort of vibe. So pretty much everybody there, and you do annual catch-ups with the girls from over east that come over.
Jolene and Lindsay.
That's the ones. Annual catch-up.
The people at the Bali event, so we've got a good group who came to the first one and have been to everyone since. And then even the ones who came to the second one for the first time, they're really creating this real vibe. So I love the fact that we have these two members, one's from WA, one's from Queensland, who came and got along famously. But their husbands came as well and they got along famously. And so
that's what we're talking about now.
Yeah. And so during the day, the husbands go off to the bar, they go off there, what have you. They end up at the farewell drinks in Hawaiian shirts instead of loud shirts, and they've got this little posse.
Yep.
Then the next year there was a new couple and they got along really well and the husbands got along really well again. And so farewell drinks. There's 3 husbands there in these loud, obnoxious Hawaiian shirts.
Yep, the 3 musketeers.
Yeah, the Bali crew, they call themselves.
Okay, yep, the Bali crew, yep.
And then last year, there was another couple who came for the first time. Another husband joined the crew. 4 of them in there with the shirts on. And it's just, and we know that they stay in contact. We know that the members themselves are contacting each other from across the country and forming that relationship and that network and that family we were talking about.
And that's all because of Bali, otherwise they may never have met. So
exactly. So, and just really fabulous. And, some of the members, you mentioned Lindsay and Jolene, and some of the other members from over East as well. I am regularly telling staff from the other divisions that I'm stealing their members, that I want them.
I agree. We'll tell them all to move over to WA.
Oh, absolutely. So, no, it's a fantastic event and one that I'm really privileged to have been a part of for the last 3 years and hopefully years going forward after we can travel.
Yeah, once we're allowed to go back. So, Well, that's just over an hour, I think. That flew by, didn't it? I've just got a few real quick questions for you, just a quick 5. What do you think is the most important quality in business?
Well, if you haven't noticed, I can't answer a question with just one word. So,
it's okay.
Give me a second. I think really that perseverance and ability to work hard and to keep going. So I think it was Thomas Edison. It's I haven't failed. I've just found 10,000 ways it didn't work.
Very true. I like it.
Yeah. So just sort of continuing to keep trying and try different ways, don't be afraid to fail. But other than that, ask for help. So if you're setting up, if you're starting, ask for help early. Get your accountants involved, get your lawyers involved, because again, don't wait until it's too late for them to be able to help you.
Yeah,
I know with my business, the fast food restaurant, if we'd gotten help earlier, the result might not have been different, but probably the amount of money lost would have been.
Yeah,
so,
exactly.
Get help early.
The quicker you can get on to it, the better. And even if the result's not different, at least it does reduce the damage.
Yeah, and other than that, know what's profitable, especially in the service industry. I've got people who I know who run daycares who, they bring in another child, they do this, they do that, they're working, I don't actually know the figures, but they get $500 for doing this, but they work another 15 hours. It's like going, well, how much is that per hour by the time you fed the child,
exactly.
All the rest of it.
Costs go into it and no, I agree.
Get the help with that.
So if you had one superpower, what would it be?
I'm tied on this one. I've probably got 2 that I would want. Again, I can't give one word answer. So either the ability to teleport, just to be able to go somewhere instantly, be there. I hate waiting. I'm impatient and, I like to be able to go around and see things. So that would be amazing to travel at all at the moment. Or other than that, to be able to read minds. And that's mainly just because I'm nosy.
Love it. Nice and honest with that one. If you could give yourself, your younger self, one piece of advice, what would it be?
I would suppose study early. It doesn't matter if you don't know what you want to do, you don't know who you want to be. There was a great song when Romeo and Juliet came out, the Baz Luhrmann one, about wearing sunscreen. And one of the pieces of advice in that, and I'm going to bastardize this because I don't know the exact words, where it's don't worry if you don't know what you want to do. Some of the most interesting 20-year-olds I know don't know. Some of the most interesting 40-year-olds still don't know. But, learn, go study, go get your university degree early when you can. Just learn. And with that, travel as well, see the world. Like, it's not just what you learn from books, it's seeing the world, experiencing the world, and do that early whilst you can, whilst you don't have the commitments and the ability.
That makes sense. What's your favourite footy team?
I'm a Dockers girl.
I was about to cut the podcast short if you said the Eagles.
No, I actually converted from the Eagles to the Dockers in 2006. So I did the opposite. Most people jump on the bandwagon in a premiership year, and I jumped off.
You did. But I'm proud. So, you came to the right side.
Absolutely. I couldn't go back at all, but yeah. Sometimes I wish the Dockers would win a few more games.
Yeah, look, it would be nice. At least one cup. That would be nice.
Yeah.
And what's your favourite book of all time? So you got a bookcase in the back there?
Yeah, I've got a few. So I have a range of different things. So I read a lot. My book taste, it's a bit like my movie and TV taste, I've realised hasn't evolved too much since I was a teenager, which isn't necessarily anything to be proud of.
It's all Twilight and stuff still, is it? Or
no, but not much better. Not too much better. I'm a Buffy fan, so, vampires don't glitter. But that probably says enough in itself. I went through a stage where I decided to read a lot of the classics, and at that time read like George Orwell's 1984, always been a fan of Animal Farm. So, yeah, anything by him. To Kill a Mockingbird by Harper Lee is another one that's always really resonated with me as well. But, yeah, probably Animal Farm is the one that's always stuck with me.
Okay. I haven't actually read that one yet. I've read 1984, which was awesome in a terrifying way.
Yes, which makes me very concerned about downloading an app at the moment. So
yeah, I agree.
I'm torn between this. Do I do it for the good of the country or...
Yeah, my tinfoil hat's kind of out as well. Yeah.
Absolutely.
No, I agree. Cool. Well, that's the quick 5. Yeah, thank you for your time. And
thank you for having me.
A really interesting podcast, and hopefully the listeners get something out of it. And if I do have any listeners that are accountants and want to join or discuss the IPA, what's the best way they can contact you?
So the IPA is here in Western Australia would be publicaccountants.org.au, or send us an email, which is kerrin.simmonds@publicaccountants.org.au. Otherwise, if you wanted to get in touch with me personally, other than that, would be via LinkedIn. So that's linkedin.com/in/Kerrin Simmonds.
Beautiful. Well, thank you very much. And hopefully they don't spam you too much. But yeah, if any accountants or you want any further information, I would highly recommend getting in touch with Kerrin. Stay tuned for future podcasts.
Thank you very much, Mitch.
You've been listening to The Mitch Moroney Show. Mitch Moroney Show. Stay tuned for more.